Good morning once again, students. I'm again Dr. Harshita S. I'll be handling personal growth and interpersonal effectiveness. So we are in video 4, that is module 2. So module 1 we are done with 3 videos and module 2 we are starting now with the 4th video. So what all we have in module 2? Module 2 basically deals with the interpersonal trust. That is the trust or the belief which one individual has with his counterpart, or with other individual whom he comes across in the at the workplace or in the family life or the societal parameters. So that is called as interpersonal trust. So the topics which are there in this particular module is openness, confidentiality, blind spot, unknown part of personality, self disclosure, seeking feedback, self reflection, and practicing new behaviors. And also, we'll get to know about what are the different facets of interpersonal trust through Johari Window. So, let us start with module 2, that is for the 4th video for this particular subject. So first is openness. What do you mean by openness, or what do you mean by what exactly the term open says that? See, it is a quality of being honest and ready to talk about your feelings. These kind of people are imaginative, curious, and open-minded. They're again inquisitive and seek out knowledge. That is, they'll be always curious to find out things, or they'll be very much hyperactive, and also at the same time you can trust them blindly because they'll always be honest, or they try to stand on their words. The words, whatever they've spoken, or the commitment, whatever they've given, they try to stand on that, right? So as people with high levels of openness are interested in new things, they are often motivated to learn about new ideas and acquire new knowledge. So, what do you mean by that? See, when a person or an individual seems to be open, or when you tell that he is very trustful or trustworthy, or honest, it means that you can just rely on that person for whatever matter it is, right? So, that is what it states. And again, uh, this openness, it depends on individual to how to what frequency or what level he can share his ideas, or he can be open with the other individual. Why? Because as we already saw in some topic, see, individuals differ from one to another, right? So you will be in a position to gauge whether you can open up completely with one particular person, or you just need to filter the data and then open up with that particular individual, because sharing across individuals all the information is again a hazardous thing for a individual. So this was about openness. So now let us move on to confidentiality. What do you mean by confidentiality? Means keeping confidential. That is, not sharing the data which is supposed to be kept to yourself. So, what does that mean? Confidentiality is the principle and the practice of keeping sensitive information private unless the owner or custodian of the data gives explicit consent for it to be shared with another party. Confidentiality may also refer to the request to honor the principle and the practice. Principle here in the sense the values, the path which is being chosen, or the proper attitude which is there with an individual to go out for the data reach out. And what has to be done if you want to maintain confidentiality of a data. As for content to share information, consider safeguarding when sharing information. Be aware of the information you have and whether it is confidential or not. Keep records whenever you share confidential information. Be up to date on the laws and rules surrounding confidentiality. Right. So it builds trust between employer and employee, and business owners have an obligation to keep staff information secure and trusted. Yes, because see, whether it is an institution or an organization, the salary of the employees are not to be disclosed with others unless or until the particular manager tells you to do so, right? So it has to be kept confidential. For example, sharing employees' personal data, like as I told you, payroll details, bank details, home addresses, and medical records. So using materials or sharing information belonging to one employee for another without their permission, like PPTs, just go take out the PPTs from different faculties and show the same thing. No, this is not the ethical way of doing so, or it means that you're not maintaining the confidentiality in the organization. So this was about confidentiality. So next, coming to blind spot. So what exactly is blind spot? What are the parameters which are under blind spot? So let us move into seeing to it. So blind spot is an area in our range of vision that we cannot see properly, but which we really should be able to see. That is, see, blind spot is something which you can assume, or you can pretend to achieve it. Or in reality, when you want to achieve it, it is a bit difficult, right? And again, see. For example, when you're driving a car, the area just behind your shoulders is often a blind spot because right behind your shoulders you won't be able to see. The other one you'll be able to see because there'll be a mirror, right? And again, this blind spots refers to the aspects of ourselves we aren't fully conscious of, and it is something about ourselves, the individual, particular individual, about our actions, or the way we presume things, and how well we are adapted to the acquiring of knowledge. And also they are like inner interior faultless, that is they surface out of a lack of self-awareness or simply a gap in the information. This can refer to a broad spectrum of different things, that is our traits, values, actions, habits, feelings, thoughts, etc. In a relationship, a blind spot can mean any area a person fails to recognize is impacting their relationship either in a negative way or as a needed growth area. Hidden personality is a part of the personality that is determined by unconscious processes. Sigmund Freud called and Carl Rogers theorized that people have a hidden personality of which they're not aware. See, for example, you might have, um, two traits, that is one positive and negative. So at that point of time, what you do you sit do you travel with one another? No, you maintain some distance, right? So again, at that particular point of time, you won't be able to see that or gauge that particular person as he is, right? So for that we use this blind spot. The open self, which we have or which we know, and also the hidden self and the blind self, right? Hidden self is what you know about you and that you choose to not let others see. Only I am supposed to see. Others are not supposed to see what I am going through or where I have got, right? So that is again called as open self. And the hidden self is when you know that you and you choose not to let others see. Yeah. Blind self is that apart from you, nobody else will be able to see or listen to whatever you are telling. Right? According to Robert Bruce Shaw, another author of Leadership Blind Spots, again he has given some definition. They are unrecognized weaknesses or threats that can hinder a leader's success. Weaknesses that we don't know about aren't likely to derail from our goals. However, we need to keep a track of whatever has been happening at our place. Either it is personal or professional or social, right? So how do you maintain the blind spots? Solicit feedback in the right way. Surround yourself with diverse thinkers with the intention of learning from them. Examine your past to identify patterns. Identify triggers. Seek out a blind spot. But okay, not now. When you have break time, you can go and check with that, because don't get disturbed with any of the classes. Fine. So we have one more parameter under this, that is self-disclosure. What do you mean by self-disclosure? It is a process of communication by which one person reveals information about themselves to another. That is self-disclosing. That is you telling about your traits, your attitude, your personality, your behavior in front of other person by yourself, right? The information can be descriptive or evaluative and can include thoughts, feelings, aspirations, goals, failures, successes, fears, and dreams, right? Again, what are the advantages of this? Blind it builds rapport and trust, and again provides validation, improving the client's awareness to different viewpoints. Yeah, again, see, this viewpoint is something which the uh, customer or the employer recognizes, as well as the client. Again, as soon as they come, they see to the look or the way you have been presented, right? So again, that also is an added advantage. What do you mean by risk? Risk is that, something which will not respond favorably to the information. Self disclosure does not automatically lead to favorable impressions. Another risk is that the other person will gain power in the relationship because of the information they possess, right? So what do you mean by seeking feedback? Next topic is seeking feedback. See, these are all topics which they can give it in a general way, so that you need to elaborate on what is being said. So for getting feedback, what you have to do, job steps for asking for feedback. So what you're supposed to do, reflect on what you hope to gain. Identify the right people to ask for feedback. Prepare the right question. Yeah, right question is much more required. Take notes on your feedback. Graciously reflect and review the feedback, right? Adapt a growth mindset and also be non-judgmental. That is, you won't be in a position to judge everybody. Yeah, it is nice, it is nice. So if a person is eating that particular chocolate, you cannot tell them that, you cannot judge him that he is a chocoholic, right? In the same way, self-reflection. Now we have come to self-reflection. So what do you mean by self-reflection? It is a process of communicating internally with oneself. When one takes time to think about their character or behavior, they analyze the reason that caused the behavior, where this comes from, what the outcome of the behavior means to them, is it effective for them, and what they can do about it. Individuals process this information about themselves to help them find methods to deal with the information gained during the self-reflection process and applying the information to future behavior. And testing shown and proven also, right? So this is about self-reflection. Your own attitude or behavior or cognition, it reflects back the cognitive behavior. So what are the advantages of this? Of the self-disclosure? Advantages are it fortifies, that is, it multiples or doubles the individual's economical emotional stability, and it enhances a person's life esteem and gives transparency for decision making. Right. So these are the advantages of it. Practicing new behavior. What do you mean by practicing new behavior? See, already in the last class, I asked you to ask questions if required, if you're not getting anything, or if you're getting confused, or if you're going too fast. So please make sure that you reflect it properly, right? Practicing new behavior. So what exactly is that? When you get a task, you allocate the task, right? That is the senior most official work. So once the task is allocated, you have to make sure when you're giving task, what are all the essentials you're giving, and then what is to be acquired from them back. So all these to be made known by the HR coordinator, right? So again, when we come to this, see, we already saw about self disclosure and seeking feedback, and now we have come across for self reflection, practicing new behaviors, right? So see, for example, you have this new behavior. What are all the different behaviors which an individual sees, or what he is supposed to follow up? So let us move on to that. Right. And these behaviorists argue that behavior is learned in interaction with the environment, and that all behaviors are learned through experience. Two key principles that are involved in new behavior are classical and operant conditioning. In classical conditioning, what happens? Something new is paired with something that occurs naturally. Classically means traditionally, or which has come from its own way, or from a long way. So those are the so again, building the skills which will improve both the individual's personal and professional life are to be made understood by the kids, or when children are at the age of 5 to 6. Self-reflection enhances a person's self-esteem and give temporary transparency decision. The decision making will be transparent, but yeah. So they have to make sure it has to go on as per the rules and regulations, right? Even though during the pandemic, so they make sure they do that by following the measures so that nobody should question back to us, because hardly we have few for administration, right? The self-reflection fortifies an individual's emotional stability. When setting aside some effort to self-reflect, they are looking inwards, and this assists with holding building two parts to their emotional intelligence: self-awareness and self-concept. Self-awareness enable a person to comprehend their feelings, qualities, shortcomings, drives, and objectives, and recognize their effect on others. Self-concept includes the capacity to control or divert their troublesome feelings and motivations and adjust to changing circumstances. Building these skills again will improve both their personal and professional life, because in n number of parameters, or n number of the ready materials, right? So at this point of time, what happens? Self-esteem, self-awareness, self-respect, it will come to picture, right? And again, the more they think about their qualities and how they can grow, the more confident they'll be, later on. So again, a person may become happy with their good qualities and identify the ones that require growth. Third, the self-reflection process requires honesty of the individual in order to be effective. When a person is honest with themselves, when self-reflecting by, there will be chances of understanding the experiences, and the person can grow and make changes based on what he has learned and what has to be improved, how many workforce to be included, what has to be informed to that particular employee set or to that particular workforce. A person engaging in self-reflection may ask themselves what appear to have a more remarkable impact. How can we accomplish a greater amount of the self-awareness and enhance it? And again, this cycle of reflection and variation before, during, or after actions is regularly recognized part of the process. Finally, self-reflection may create a positive mentality. An individual may try to keep their ideas and thoughts positive. However, they should be waiting for the individual to announce this self-disclosure parameters. So when we come for this set behavior, see again we are in module 2 only. So these were almost half of the module of module 2. Again, what do you mean by behavior? What do you mean by attitude? What do you mean by belief or core values, right? So practicing new behavior. Behavior in the sense, see, when you're handling classes for one section or 1 year, the other year will always be affected, because the time we take to change the cylinder from one place to another, right? So in the same way, when you want to adjust, or when you want to make sure that you are an odd man out in any functions or in any cultural events, then probably you can just go to the photo outside, and then you can try to maintain your balanced life. So we have again so many subheadings under this. Practicing new behavior and practice deliberately, and then pair up in the sense at least two members in a group try to solve the issue. Fine, it is solved. Instead of one taking care of everything, if we have two hands, then probably the families might go on smoothly, right? Right. And involve someone whom you know whom you can trust upon, interpersonal trust, whom you can trust upon, or whom you want to share so much of data, and then you can just go with that. So next is this was about video 4, and in the next slide I'll be teaching about practicing new behaviors. We learned what might be the different types of behaviors. Right? So again after that I have yeah, included the next module also. So for time being, module video 4 of module 2, that is module 1 and module 2 is being done. So let's see how far the journey goes. Right. So again, we learnt about the self-reflection, self-awareness, self-empathy, and all. So students, thank you for listening to the class. This was video 4, and in video 5, we will be finishing the second module. And this is video 4. Thank you.